Okay, guys, so tonight we're going to start talking about rates. And as we discussed in class, rates are still ratios. Okay, so we're still going to be comparing two numbers. All right, we're still comparing two numbers. So again, that means we can still write these as a fraction, acceptable. We can use our colon, or we can use the little word 2. Any of those versions are acceptable. Okay. The big difference now, though, remember when we get to rates, we want to compare to 1. All right, we're going to be comparing to 1, which basically tells us we want our denominator to be 1. All right, in simple, lamest terms, rates, we want to go to 1. Okay. So for rates tonight, the big thing for us now is we've already practiced with rates one time, okay? But now the catchword tonight is, can we find ratios and rates if we're given a table, okay, or a graph of some kind? So if we're given this table here, all right, with bikes and trips, okay, we may want to come out, we want to be able to pull a ratio out of there. All right, so if I ask you for a ratio from a table, you would probably say something like 10 bikes to 5 trips. Completely acceptable ratio. Okay, you could even use the bottom and say 16 bikes to 8 trips. Okay, so those would be good ratios to give. Now, regardless of which one you choose, the next question is, what is the rate of bikes per trip? Okay, that's the question we got to be able to answer from this table. What is the rate of bikes per trip? So we can take either one of our ratios, whichever one you want to come up with. We can use either. Okay, and we want to, as we mentioned earlier, if it's a rate, we want to make our bottom go to 1. Okay, bikes over trips. And we want to know what's 1 trip. Okay. As we did in class, all we have to do is divide our two numbers. 16 divided by 8, 2 bikes per trip. That would be our rate. Okay, and again, just in case you're concerned, all right, if you notice over here, 10 divided by 5, 2 bikes per trip. So we get the exact same answer regardless of the ratio that we chose to start with on the problem. Okay, so the big thing on your homework tonight is pulling ratios out of a chart. Okay, similar setup. All right, similar setup. We may give you a line graph. Okay, and you'll be asked the same questions. All right, what is the rate chocolate per person? All right, what's the rate of chocolate per person that's being graphed here? Okay, so again, chocolate over people. So you would need to give me a chocolate number. So we could come over here and say 12 per 6. So 12 pieces of chocolate for 6 people. Okay, now, is that a rate? No, that's a ratio. If we want the rate, we want to know how many for one person. Okay, because as we've said, with rates, we want to go to 1. All right, 12 divided by 6, 2 chocolates per person. Okay, so the big check for you tonight is given a line graph of some kind. All right, given a chart of some kind, can you pull those ratios out and can you get them reduced down to a rate? Okay, so that's the big thing for you tonight. So good luck with your homework. Bring any questions back to class tomorrow. Have a good night.